We're on the.
All right, I'd like to call this meeting to order, please, with the pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Would anybody like to do an invocation? Do roll call. Brenda Epp?
Yes.
Jerry Harris? Here. Robert Rodriguez here. Bill Starr is absent. He told me he would be. This is the last meeting he'll miss. Alan Smith? Here. Steve Rhodes?
Here.
Thank you. Our first order of business is the approval of February 13th, 2019's minutes. And if everybody's already read them, and you see no reason for any changes, I will entertain a motion to approve those minutes, February 13th, 2019.
Move to approve minutes.
And second?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Financial report, since Bill's not here.
I picked this stuff up today, I issued it to you guys. I will say something about the financial report here. I got this at 4:05 tonight. Wheeler's in the middle of tax season, and I didn't get a chance to look at it, so I was sitting in my driveway, but she did not put down any of our deposits. So this thing actually shows that ending checking balance is minus $500 on the second page, and that is not true, because I know Bill transferred money. It might have been after the first though. So none of these checks have gone anywhere, so we're not $500 in the hole. And I know that he put in 10,000, I think, plus I gave her 4 checks that to deposit. She has records for, and it didn't get entered in this report, so I gotta call her tomorrow. So we're gonna have to adjust that.
Okay, but we can go ahead and approve paying of the bills.
Yeah, and we added 2 additional checks tonight, one for our administrative assistant and one for Lindsay Chitwood, and went to the EMS conference last week.
Okay, and how much were those?
160 for the conference,
Okay.
108 for Patricia Nelson.
It
And
was
I'll
2
copy
checks.
those off.
Okay.
Did you sign those?
Yeah, they're done.
I'll copy those off and get them to Trista. And I'll figure out tomorrow what happened. There's no deposits. I was kind of going through the list of our accounts and stuff in here too, and there's some oddities, like something got miscoded or something. So I'm gonna go back and review all that stuff here.
So can I ask you that check 2814 was insurance?
That was a big one for.
Yeah, $7,175.
Yeah, where is that?
Yeah, where are you talking?
Yeah, that's
Right here.
interesting because it's not,
Right here.
It's not showing up.
yeah, that must have been last month.
Oh, what?
Oh, see, because this is for tonight, and that was from, so usually our statements are from last month and this thing is for this month.
Okay, okay.
So, yeah,
The harvest starting to be.
that was the annual, that was our annual, property and liability insurance. And anyway, we have 4 checks we put in for, about a little bit over $2,000 that are not credited to this thing, so I'll make sure. She has copies of these, so I don't know what happened.
So next month we'll be able to see what
Yeah.
we did? Okay, I just want to
I'll
make
tell you,
sure.
if I get her to do it, in the next few days, when if she does it correct, I'll mail it out to you guys, and then we'll have it for the next meeting also.
Okay, so we're okay to pay the bills that we owe?
Yeah,
Okay, so I'll entertain a motion to pay the bills that we have documented,
Plus 2 additional.
plus the 2 additional, one for 160 to Lindsay and then one for 108 to Patty.
That's how moved to pay the bills.
In a second,
I'll second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, thank you. Ooh, Jerry, I dropped the number off for you, but I'm gonna turn it over to Jerry with his communication report.
All right, website updates, posted approved documents, meeting videos, minutes, blogger calls, treasurer's reports, and chief's reports. Scans website, including emails for viruses, deleted any that were present. There were no apparent viruses and all district email accounts and none on the website. Proposed change. This is something that I had discussed with the board at last month's meeting. And I'm continuing to propose this to develop an accessibility guidelines page for the website. The guidelines should be based on the WCAG 2.0 AAA guidelines, and the website accessibility guidelines for the Oregon State websites is found at the state accessibility webpage. I have the address in my report. The district's accessibility guidelines should be part of a revised information technology policy. So we would need to have a public notice that we're going to have a first reading for an amended policy. And so in the policy, there's a paragraph regarding accessibility that needs to be modified. So I'll send that out to all the board members along with the draft of the guidelines before next meeting.
Okay.
Okay, requests for suggestions, ideas for improving the website should be sent to the communications officer / web manager. Communications with agencies, I've received text fire department 911 dispatches, email newsletters from SDAO, notices from DFPA. I did send a list of district addresses to the News Review so they could try to find out the number of subscriptions to the News Review that there are in the district. It's been over a week now and I have not heard back from the News Review. They may be just overworked right now, aftermath of the snowstorm, or it may be difficult for them to pull the information together. I had talked with a couple different people weeks ago before I actually sent them the list, and they thought they'd be able to pull that information together. Because I'm trying to find out, just for regular public notices, other than budget committee, I think we should still do the paid legal notice of the budget committee. But for other types of public notices, like for when we're doing a first reading or a second reading for a policy revision, I don't know that it's absolutely necessary for us to put it in the News Review if a lot of people in the area are not getting it, if that's not a real good source of information for people. So I'd really like to have that information. But they also told me, we've had in the past, and I mentioned to them, problems we've had in just doing it as a free public notice. You are able to submit public notices for free, and in past years we've had a lot of problems with it not getting published. That's why we started going to the paid legal notices, which has cost us a lot of money. And so I mentioned that to them, and they said, well, that was in the past, things are different now, basically, is what they're saying. And they're saying we should try submitting it again, as long as it's done, enough in advance, so that I would think if it's submitted at least 10 days in advance, they should be able to get it in for the free public notice.
Like resolutions and stuff, I'd be great with that, but the budget stuff should still be legal done.
Yeah, paid legal, definitely. Yeah. Communications with fire department, list of January blotter calls and report were received from the chief. Received from the chief that list of addresses that are covered by our district. Communications with the community. I did set up an account and posted notices and information on Nextdoor, and did get some responses to the notices. I posted about the 2 open directors positions for the May 2019 election. That there's an open community member position on the budget committee. The warming center at Lookingglass Grange due to the snowstorm, and our fire department and volunteers cooperated with the Grange to get that warming center going. Steve, I'm guessing you're going to talk more about that in your report. Okay, so I'll let you do that. And also, I participated along with Alan and Steve in an interagency meeting to discuss the Lookingglass emergency recovery, and that occurred at the Grange. I posted public notice for the February board meeting on the website, on Nextdoor, and at the fire station. For communications equipment, updated software on the district computer. And if any of you use a Windows operating system on a computer and you're having problems with any updates, in the last couple of weeks, Microsoft has been having problems. With yesterday's patch Tuesday, they had to fix some problems with a security update they sent out a week or two ago. So be aware of it. Any questions?
Thank you, Jerry. Open for public comments?
I did see his posting on Nextdoor about the thing, so it's making it around to people that do have the app.
That's good. I still gotta get that, and I will once I get internet.
That's what they're-
Yeah, because some people would have lost their internet from DFN, for example, but they might have been able to get on Nextdoor
Yeah.
through a cell phone.
Yeah. Good. All right, I'll turn it over to Steve.
Chief's minutes for March 13th. In February, we had 23 total calls, 13 medical, 2 structure fires, 1 motor vehicle accident, 7 public safety assist stuff, mostly during the snowstorm. Large amount of weather-related calls. I think we had 14 calls over the first 2 days, over 48 hours. Both the fires were both mutual aid to the 10-mile area. Our training this month, we updated our CPR. We did the annual recert over 2 nights. We had another night of airway management and bloodborne pathogens and OSHA. Tomorrow there's a burn to learn in Winston that we're going to be participating in during the day. And then for our training records are now set up with UCC. Patricia did that in conjunction with Andy Hatfield up there. So any of our training records now are going to go into the college. And at some point, depending on the class, we'll get college credit for some folks, or college benefits because they get FETs for funding and that kind of stuff for the college also. So we got that going, so that was good. We had some certifications for the firefighters for hazmat operational. You're one of those, right, Rich? Justin Fox got his firefighter 1. We assisted with manning the grain shelter and setting it up. A couple of our guys, Rich and Justin, manned the station the night of the snowstorm, and that worked out pretty good. We had cots and stuff for our usual wildland stuff during the summer, so we had a couple of people staying here. Rich and Justin Fox and Marty Radway and Bob Banks and Kevin Nelson really did a great job during that time. And we had a lot of four-wheeling, a lot of chains, a lot of chainsaw. Everywhere we went, we had to cut through trees, basically. And these guys made a four-wheel drive run that night with chains over the top of the grade to deliver a patient down to Roseburg because no ambulances could get out here. So that was probably exciting, I imagine. Anyway, it did show one thing, and it's happened twice now in the last few months, that other wind event, that we're really easily isolated out here by trees, wires, and all that stuff. So it's just something to think about. If we ever get this earthquake and we start dropping bridges, then we'll really be isolated. So let's see. We did some relocation. We actually staged a unit on the other side of the dump hill because we were having trouble getting over the dump hill. So the banks had one of our units out there, and so they were handling 400,000 calls and colonial calls out there. The Explorers did everything we were doing this month. One more has turned 18 now. He's a volunteer firefighter. Our equipment, the PPE finally arrived. Our new turnouts. So all DFA equipment came in last week, and then it opened up and it's due April 19th of this year, so that's great. We got about 1 week break or 2 week break or something. Pierce, which is out of Springfield and built our newest engine out there, he's doing specs for us for a possible FEMA engine, and they're ready, so we're going to review those. I did buy a set of chains. We had chains here, old chains, and then some of the folks here had chains that fit our vehicles, and we used them quite a bit. We had to replace a couple that are worn out and broken. I bought a battery-powered fuel pump during the power outage so we could pump fuel out of our tanks. We're going to absorb that in the budget somewhere. It's about $200. And 1031 has an old 10K generator on it, diesel powered, so So we provided power for the grain shelter continuously until they got their power back, and that worked out really well. Excuse me. I'm glad we had four-wheel drive vehicles. We found out that most of the paramedics in the area probably don't have four-wheel drive vehicles. There's a couple. And Glide, there is one Bay Cities uses with Glide, but it goes out Highway 38 and disappears and you never see it again. So what ended up happening is we were delivering patients to places where they could get to, which was a little different. Let's see, we got the SCBA mask finished, and when the Scott mask was repaired, we're still updating inventories on all units. It's kind of a mess right now because we have a bunch of equipment that came in. The system, the security system comparison. I didn't do a full-blown sheet. This is the difference right here, what I wrote right here. So Nextcom is $300 cheaper than all wired up. Nextcom, after a 3-month warranty, will charge $45 a month forever to keep it maintained. So there'd be no labor, repairs, update, or anything else costs. About $540 a year we have to budget for that. All Wired Up offers a 3-year warranty on their cameras, a 4-year warranty on their DVR and system, and there's no maintenance or labor program or update charges. However, if something like a camera went down, you'd pay labor. For 3 years, they'd replace the camera, but you would pay labor to have them put it back up. So basically, that's the difference between the two is there's no other difference. The equipment's the same, the $300 initial charge. I really, it's up to you guys which way you want to go. What do you guys think is the best way to go? Do we have the continual charge forever? What will happen with that charge is if a camera goes down, they'll update it to a newer camera and do the labor and all that kind of stuff, and wouldn't charge our district. Or the other way, after the warranty runs out, we'd be buying the camera and the labor to keep the system in service. So I personally think $540 a year for maintenance is kind of expensive. It's like an expensive insurance thing, but then at the same time, I know that one of the fire departments that bought the Costco one, I think in 2 years, the DVR thing or something burned up or shorted out and they had to buy a new one, or else they went to a more professional system. So
Were the installations the same one?
everything's the same. It's $300 difference to start.
But they're using the same equipment and
They're
running
the
the supplier
same
and-
type of equipment, not the same manufacturer necessarily, but everything's comparable.
Okay.
So just Nextcom does it by a maintenance program. The other one has a longer warranty, but then anything to be repaired or labor would be.
You pay for the labor. So if your camera goes bad for 4 years or your DVR, you get a free one, but you pay them for their labor.
Right.
And I'd imagine their labor is $100 an hour.
Yeah, so I don't know what, it's up to you guys on how which way you want to go.
Does that
We can
mean,
budget $540 a year to maintain and upgrade and keep our security system running. I mean, if we want to. Or we might be able to get a safety security grant each year for that price, as a matter of fact, from this SDA or something. Both of them are able to start in April as far as construction. They'll be done by June. We have to be done by June or have the money back from SDA by June. And actually, once we find out who's going to do it, I can submit their bid and they'll prepay us to pay them. So there's not going to be any problem with the June deadline.
Steve, did they look at our current system in terms of hooking into our modem and router? Are they going to have to supply a different router? Are we going to need an additional line from DFN for that?
My understanding is it's all going to go through their recorder and all that and everything else. So I don't know if that means it goes into our routers or not.
But you have to have, I thought that they have remote access through Wi-Fi, so it would have to be connected to our internet.
I think it's Wi-Fi though. I don't think you have to plug into it. I think it talks to your router just.
I had thought they,
When we talked with Dave, they were providing a new router and
that's what I had thought.
Yeah.
My concern is that a new router is also
answer, Jerry. Yeah, Nextcom has a router, they're providing a router and a video hard drive. Let me see here. Well, they're both doing the same exact thing, so. My understanding was everything was gonna go through their equipment and then go into our computers. So all our fiber and everything is gonna go through their stuff first, I think is what I understood. That doesn't make
Okay,
sense.
are you saying that their router would be connected to our router? Like right now, we have two different routers. One is for the volunteers, the old computer, and the Wi-Fi is provided to that second router. The main router is what we use for the office computer without Wi-Fi.
Right.
So are you saying that their router would be another one connecting up to ours?
I don't know that answer. Were you here when he was here? I don't know how they do it, I can call Dave.
Yeah, and my understanding, okay, at the time, I wasn't even thinking about, are they going to be connecting into our router, or are they going to need a separate line? I didn't even think of asking that.
I don't know why they need a separate.
But that would be a situation for whoever is doing the installation. That probably won't affect our making a decision as to which company to go with, but I think we need to be aware that there may be some more additional costs if we have to get a second line that they're going to connect their router to have it as a dedicated line.
I didn't understand that as having to have a dedicated line.
I don't think I don't think they have to.
Yeah. But, that would be a significant cost too. I mean, having a line. Well, no, I can figure that one out, it's called.
Well, what are we paying, something like $50 a month for the one line we have now for internet?
I don't have the receipt.
It's roughly that.
Yeah, you're right around there.
Yeah.
So if we don't have to have another line for the new router, I don't think we do. I think I remembered that. Because that obviously would raise the price another $50 a month or whatever service we decided to go with. How do you feel about, I mean, which one are you leaning towards to get? Nextcom or?
Do they have any information on how long the equipment lasts? Are the warranties by all wired up? 3-year on the cameras, 4-year on the DVR.
Those are factory warranties, so. it's
Those are
not-
factory warranties?
Yeah.
And if it's the same equipment, shouldn't Nextcom?
It's not exactly the same equipment.
Oh.
But I mean, it's comparable.
So-
But Nextcom's warranting for 3 months. That's what they said. So
Their-
that was another difference.
Their equipment only has a 3-month warranty.
Right, on both of them. So then that's when the maintenance program kicked in. every 5 years.
So within the warranty period, would there be no parts or labor charged to us during the warranty period?
For wired up.
For all wired up.
No, there would be labor charged to us, but they would replace the equipment.
Now, it says $45 a month charge for any further maintenance, repair, or upgrade.
They call it a maintenance program, so after the initial 3 months, you pay $45 a month, as long as you have a contract with them, and if anything goes wrong, they fix it, repair it, or upgrade it, and then you'll get your annual software updates and whatever else that goes on with the program. So that,
So you're buying a warranty, which makes sense.
all wired up, said that the updates and stuff are all online, so it would not be an additional cost, because
Sorry.
All Wired Up said the software updates are all online, it's not, it wouldn't be an additional cost. So, that would be as long as the warranties are in effect, we would have updates provided by him to update the system.
And who's Dave with? Is it Nextcom?
Next time. The guy's name is Rick Honeycutt.
Any comments?
I don't know.
Personally, I don't like the high cost of the maintenance program, but I think it may be worthwhile. If anything is going on and we need to call them out to check it, we're not paying labor charge. We've already prepaid it essentially through the maintenance program.
Pay that much and wouldn't service go.
Yeah, that's just it.
Yeah. So in that sense, I lean towards Nextcom. On the other hand, you know, if the equipment is good quality equipment, it should last, and there shouldn't be the need to be calling them out here. So I guess it's just a trade-off. And the way electronic equipment goes, it's very easy within a couple of years, you know, like you say with the Costco equipment, no matter how good the quality is of the equipment, things can definitely go wrong. If there's a power outage, that's another thing, we need to make sure that everything's hooked into a backup
Battery
power
backup.
supply. So that's something we need to budget for also.
We don't have a battery backup here now.
We have one, but we might want a separate one for the security system.
Do they operate any kind of backup systems, you know?
I don't know if they had that on the list of rooms. We talked about that with Dave, I can't remember. I'm not gonna have that problem soon, though. We're gonna have emergency power.
Well, that's right. The whole kit.
That's something else to talk about.
Yeah. So if anybody else feels strongly one way or the other, you know, I could go along with somebody else's decision.
I like the idea of a warranty, and I like the idea of just calling them in and they come out here. You know, if you have a problem, because if you call the other guy and he spends 2 hours out here at $100 an hour, that's $200. So I personally like the idea of, you know, and later down the road, if we find that we're comfortable, I mean, the hard drive probably costs you a few $100 if it goes bad. So I'm sort of looking towards Nextcom.
Well, the other thing, as
Yeah,
Steve
right.
mentioned, if the equipment goes bad in 2 or 3 years and we're paying the maintenance program, it's gonna get replaced by something new.
Correct. So you're always gonna upgrade it.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, the video hard drive's $175. The big deal is the 12, 16 channel. Their video recorder, which is $670. That's the most expensive part of it.
Yeah, I tend to lean towards a warranty. You know, the Nextcom only has a 90-day warranty, but you bought that service program, so really it's longer than that. That's the one I lean towards. I just like that peace of mind.
Yeah.
I agree. So if, you know, if we want to approve this tonight, we can, as long as there's no added expenditure. Just to go ahead.
Well, right now, just to get the system installed, as far as we know, there's not, but we will need to clarify with whichever company we go, do they want us to have a dedicated line for the security system? And then, before it gets installed, we would need to approve a dedicated
Correct.
line.
So if they don't have to have a dedicated line, which I think I remembered something like that, because that, to me, that's a pretty big cost factor every month. So if we don't need to get any dedicated line, spend any more money to have the security cameras, do you have a preference who you want to go through? You want to go with Nextcom?
Well, I think the dedicated line is a separate issue from which company.
Correct, so what I'm
Yeah.
asking is do
Yeah.
you want me to entertain a motion to go with Nextcom as long as we do not need to do a dedicated line, because then we can get them started on this. If we do, then if we do have to have a dedicated line, then obviously we're gonna wait till next month so we can make that decision at the meeting.
Yeah, but we're bumping up against the deadline.
That's
too.
what I'm saying.
Well,
So we gotta pull it.
Steve is talking about it being installed in April.
Right.
So if you check with them and find out, yes, we need a dedicated line, then let them know. The installation should be after our next board meeting, so we could approve the dedicated line.
And
at
if
the
it's
next
not, if we
meeting,
don't need a dedicated line, then we can go ahead and.
as soon as they're able to do it,
Exactly, exactly.
whichever company we choose.
Okay.
Yeah. All right, so you want
I'll
to have a
entertain-
motion?
Yeah, I'll entertain a motion.
move that we accept the bid from Nexcom.
Okay. in a
I
sec.
second that.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, so,
And we can clear that other part up with a phone call. I mean, I could do it tonight, I'll call them tomorrow. when it's-
yeah, so if they don't need any more additional funds, then we'll go ahead and we'll just give them the green light to go ahead and start doing it.
Okay.
Thank you.
That's long, that's long. But both are reputable and have good referrals, by the way, just to let you know. Office admin, fuel oil, we had another delivery. Over this, the weather and the incidents we've had, we're over budget on fuel. And one thing that happened here is without emergency power, we had to disconnect our electric doors outside. We were keeping two of the doors open to get units out of here, so we were closing the front gate on the property. So that created a little bit of heating issue. VFA grant reimbursement just came in tonight, so I'll give it to Bill, that's $9,977. So that'll be nice from the checkbook. And then the new grant's open, it's due by April 17th. There's a state bond program, we covered this at the Grange the other night, of course, most of you folks, some of you folks were there, but during the shelter operation, there was I talked a little bit about last month, there's a state bond program for disaster supplies, and it was due March 1st. While we were cruising around out here without internet and stuff, I called up there and the guy extended us till March 7th. So we got it in, and what I submitted for was emergency power. It's a 30 kW mobile generator, a 250 gallon fuel tender trailer, mass shelter trailer with supplies. It's got 325 person tents with 125 cots, blankets and all that stuff. It's a 16 by 7 trailer. And then a 4-wheel drive high clearance vehicle for rescue and for towing those things. And the way it works is that the state retains ownership of it. All they want is shelter or else for you to house them. So the security system kind of played right into that game because we'll have security, we'll have a video surveillance. This facility plays into that game because of the 6-foot chain link fence and 3 strands of barbed wire and all that stuff. Hope maybe in the budget process we'll address putting on automatic. We already have budgeted for a shelter this year to put some of our exterior equipment out there underneath that, and my plan is to budget for another one at this budget process so we can talk about that, and then clear out the existing pole structure we have of all that other stuff, so we have a place to put vehicles if we successfully get this grant. I think the benefits, we have to absorb the maintenance of them and stuff, but they retain the ownership, and I think the benefits to the community, potential benefits, are it's way worth it. And
You know anything about the material that, is it old stuff, old
no, it's
surplus
all
materials?
brand new.
Brand new stuff?
And,
The tents and stuff will be those rubber.
they're the,
Like,
here's the tents, they're called Western Tire Shelters. And,
Steve, with this equipment being stored at our facility, does it need to be covered by our insurance? And if
I'm
so,
not
would
sure on
would that increase our
I
insurance?
don't think it does, and I've talked to Silva about that, is what the price on that would be, but the state retains ownership, and I told them that part of that grant might be that we would absorb costs on that. All it would do is it would increase the schedule for our property liability, I think. So I do not know that answer yet, so that's a picture of the generator trailer. trailers, and that's a picture of the fuel trailers that are available. And then
Water purifier?
water purifier was, that's kind of interesting, it's for how many people? 40,000 gallons a year.
40,000
That- They have to be a
per
water
day.
district to submit for that, so I didn't do that.
Oh, we can do it next week.
I mean, so this stuff's all available, and what really helped us is during this whole
Yeah.
thing, Jerry talked about the meeting where the county commissioner came out and and I had talked to him about it. So there's 4 levels of grant. There's community, which is the lowest level, that'd be us ourselves. Wait, agency. Community is the second level, would be just Lookingglass. County is the third level, which includes county emergency management, and then regional would be 2 counties or more together. So Wayne Stinson wrote us a letter from the county endorsing us because we had put that shelter up in the Red Cross at Baptist. And then we got letters from the church and the Grange. So we're pretty high up on the list. I think we're ahead of a lot of people on that grant, so. Anyway, enough of that. The requirement is to shelter it and to secure it, so. Other options would be to put trailer locking locks on the hitches, wheel locks on them, something like that. That'd be low cost, secure. FEMA grant, I sent you guys a message. The FEMA grant writer contacted me, so he's still a peer reviewer, so he was back in Maryland reviewing it. And felt really positive about our grant. He said it's about 60 days out and we're gonna award them. And so that was good news. The guy was sitting there in the committees. Hopefully he abstained from voting on anything that had to do with this, but it was good news anyway. The state fire reporting system finally figured out how to do training reports on it, so that's good. The hazmat inventory got extended due to lack of power and internet. I wrote you guys IT. I've been trying to figure out what's more important and what's not. Here's so there's I did the IT equipment inventory last month, and then I did the evaluation, finished it off today, and you guys, I'll just give it to you to review it and talk about it next month if you want. Basically, there's a couple things I'm kind of identifying for the budget process. Just one additional portable radio and a programmable radio, which works with the EFPA and the Forest Service and our wildland counterparts. The rest of the stuff is pretty much budgeted through office supply maintenance and such. I'm having a meeting with all my officers tomorrow. I think we're going to be looking at maybe getting one more laptop. If we are truly going to this online training in the fall, we'll probably need another workstation. And the last one was the mobile data terminals I talked a little bit about last month. I do not have a price thing on that, so I'm going to run it. We discussed it about maybe doing a pilot program with this one unit having a terminal on it with the supporting communications gear, and I don't have a budget on it, so I'm going to address that through the budget process if we do a pilot program, and I'll bring that to you guys. But as far as that, we don't really have any IT-wise. We're fairly new, and we were addressing it by when we budget every year, we're budgeting for the replacement for the digital projector, and we haven't had to use that yet. So,
Steve, you have on your equipment inventory about an old HP laptop, and you say that it is not working now. It has Windows 7 and it is not working. Is it the operating system, or do you know if it's a hardware problem? If it's a software problem,
you refinanced, you reformatted that, so that not working was before that. So you can scratch
is that one I changed to, did I change that one to Linux like I did the desktop?
Ubuntu, possibly?
I'm sorry, to what?
Ubuntu or something like that?
Ubuntu?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you did that, so please erase that out and then I'll correct this again.
So
You're the one that reformatted.
That one was reformatted. Yeah, because Windows 7 next year will stop receiving any security. You might want to consider upgrading.
So, maybe if you guys, if you wanna review these things, and we can just, I think where this will come up again is during the budget process for office supplies and equipment, basically. Alright, G majority. I put in thanks to Jerry for making all this work. He's been working to make sure that all of our stuff that we do have works. It does work. I worked on the annual report for the budget committee, and also put out a draft. I just created a draft calendar for you guys to evaluate, because if we go basically the same schedule we did last year, having the first meeting the last Monday in April, that means we would have to notice before our next board meeting. To technically, it would be like 20 days before it or something. We have a range of 5 to 30 days. So, so that I'm talking about this year, the draft budget. Anyway, so part of that was that budget committee wise, Yvonne Russell retired, so that left us with Kent came in for Mary, and that was your first year last year, I think, again, for the second time around. Are you still wanting to keep coming for 2 more years? You don't, you can say no.
I am, but I'm gonna be out of town the last Monday of April.
Okay. Is that it? How about the rest of my days?
We're leaving on vacation, I think April 25th.
That should be a problem.
We may only have that one meeting.
Right. Well, we can, last year we actually did it.
Oh, we did have 2 meetings, didn't we, last
Yeah.
year?
Last year we actually did the meeting on April, the week before that, the 3rd week of April. I didn't know what Ken's schedule was. Anyways,
Do we need to schedule the first meeting in April? Is that required or not?
we could do them both in May, people do that. It doesn't, oh yeah, because we still have 3 Mondays in May, so if something went wrong, we could, but then you're not gonna be here back till, would you be back like?
I should be back May 6th,
Oh, okay, so,
which is a Monday, I think.
so we wanna do that as a, we wanna go into May? That way, we won't even have to notice till after our next board meeting. So it'd be May 6th, May 20th would be the 2 meetings.
Wanna do that?
That's fine with me. And then if we had a 3rd meeting, it would be May 27th if we were actually. And that just changes it. We won't have to notice till after the next board meeting. So we come in?
So the date on number 6
May.
would be May 20th?
What's the?
May
what's the first
20th
Monday
or
in May?
27th
May
if
1st
needed.
is the 6th,
6 or 7?
the 6th.
6. Will you be here May 6th? Okay. And would you be here May 20th?
I think so.
Okay.
And May 27th will be the
May
3rd.
20th would be the 3rd. Okay, so if Kent's coming, Tammy, I already talked to her, this will be her 2nd year. Ann will be her 2nd year. Larry will be his last, and I'm gonna ask him to fill the position again. And so we do have one opening though. So we have between now and the next board meeting to find an opening, to find someone. You think that's possible?
I posted on Nextdoor, so I hope people will see and take an interest.
So I'll send a calendar out to the folks that we do have, and we can just, I think we can just try to find somebody. And now we know dates, so they'll know.
Those are 3-year terms? Or the-
Yeah, 3-year terms.
You think Mark Bennett would be interested?
He isn't in our district, except he is, I was gonna talk about that in a second. He will be.
Oh,
Very soon. We voted him in a few months ago, and it's just getting a public hearing right now for him to be in our district.
What about the fellow who works for DEC, who moved in?
Um, Who's that?
Utley, is it?
He's been out
long
for
time.
now.
Yeah.
Oh, he has
He
been?
actually was on the budget committee years ago.
Oh,
We could ask him or his wife too. So we have a month, so I'll put the calendar back out as change those dates around. And that means we don't have to worry about notification until after the next board meeting. Gosh, what else? Just, I was gonna talk a little about the snow and weather, we're kind of stretching a little bit. I did want to say something I mentioned at the Grange last night was, as far as disaster-wise goes, the Red Cross, basically how it works is the county declares a disaster, the state declares a disaster, and then they go after FEMA. The Red Cross has their own kind of designated shelter areas. We, second or third day in, I had Bob Scott call, and they gave us a national number, and Red Cross contacted us. His, what's his name? Red Cross.
King, Joe?
Joel King. So
King.
we have a relationship with him because of college and stuff, and now he works for Red Cross. So he called me back. They had a shelter, so the regional shelter for here is not gonna be in Lookingglass. They do regional stuff, so the regional shelter for Lookingglass, Camas, 10 Mile, and Winston, and probably parts of Green is gonna be in Winston somewhere. This time it was at the Four Square Church by Carlos Restaurant down there. And that, you can expect that. But when we called, we were one of the first ones that organized and got picked up and endorsed by the county. They started publicizing that we were here, so the Red Cross supported us. So, just so the public understands, and us, ourselves understand, the shelter probably won't be here, but if we staff a shelter in Lookingglass Grange, we're gonna be supported because they know we're out here now. And I think it's nice to keep it here. One thing that Grange doesn't have is showers, but however, the Four Square Church doesn't have showers. Usually they go for schools and stuff, and I'm not sure why they chose the church down there, but as far as the snow and weather response, it was pretty wild. You guys, a lot of you guys, I know Alan just got their power back yesterday. I don't know if you guys did. I was able to phone call Robert and talk to his wife once or twice. Your wife called me one morning.
She told me, it's my daughter's
It
fiance's
was by
phone's the only one that got service.
Anyway, so they eventually tried to do what we call a windshield survey in a disaster, where we'll go out, and so for our area, we were checking for tracks and driveways and stuff, some indication that people were getting out, and it also gives us an idea where we can and can't get if we have to go on calls. The very first call we went on that night, the first night, was Colwell Hill. We ran into 2 or 3 trees on the way up there. We had medical aid up there, and then we ended up pulling a 90-year-old lady out of the house back up there in the canyon. And then it went downhill from then. The stuff just went crazy. And everywhere you went, there was trees, and there's already people cutting them and wires down and everything else. The 4:30 in the morning, we had an appendicitis call on Coos Bay Wagon Road. Rich and Justin were on that one. No, a medic unit started out of Winston, couldn't get here because of Swan Hill, there's trees and wires down. They sent the one out of Green, couldn't get here because there was a problem with the bridge. They sent one, they tried to send Bay Cities out of the Lookingglass over to Dump Hill. They couldn't get over the hill. So we ended up driving 4-wheel drive to Harvard to deliver them to the ambulance. So that was the kind of stuff that was happening. It was pretty crazy. We delivered food and fuel up to the Beckers at the top of Buzz Mountain. That's only been about a week ago, I think, maybe. We got in there with chains and 4-wheel drive, and did a lot of stuff like that. The one thing we did have, I talked about at the other meeting, we had some people with propane heating in their house. We had a whole family that had CO poisoning. We were very lucky that we didn't have a whole family get. And the grandmother went down early, and everybody was able to get it. They got her to the hospital, and she lived and everything else. That would have been a tragedy. I'm really surprised that showed us, our weaknesses here where we don't have emergency power. So we've been trying to deal with that before this happened. And, we have the ability with the old engine, most new fire engines don't have generators on them because they're using LED lights and stuff now. So it's something to think about when you're specing an engine is to keep the generators on. We were able to power the Grange's heating system, have portable lights in there, and they were on gas, just a gas, so that worked out really good. Some things that happened to us, and you guys, are you on AT&T?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so AT&T lost all their towers at one time, so there's 2 in Melrose and 1 in Glasgow. So they went down. They eventually got one of them back, and then the second one in Melrose, they've never gotten this one back. So they put the portable one in our parking lot here, it's still here. Verizon, we never lost Verizon, and however, the county lost their radio towers on the mountaintops. So we had a time, about the 3rd night maybe, where we didn't have any radios. So within the valley, our radios have the capability of acting like a handy-talkie. As long as we have line of sight, we can talk to each other. So dispatchers call me on my phone, and then and possibly texting if you have Verizon. And then we were able to contact back and forth to each other to get around town. But if Verizon would have went down, we would have been into face-to-face, sending runners out in vehicles trying to find stuff. So, and that's the next logical step in disaster, is doing that. Or placing, the stuff we've talked about before is placing people at the top of Lookingglass Hill or Dump Hill, or somewhere where we can relay into
So
Roseburg.
CB radios would still have a reason.
Yeah, the county was talking about back in hand radios and stuff. I don't know of any hand radio operators, I'm sure they have them. And I don't think they played out in this disaster thing at all. I don't know if they were.
Other than just talking back and forth.
Yeah, so, but it is that's a problem, and as far as disaster planning, we have to do some more training. Down where I came from before, I'm not good about snow, but we had earthquakes and we lost power and we lost communications and everything else, so that's what we designed. And it's not an earthquake command post or earthquake disaster, it's basically what it is centralized communication, because you don't have communication with a communication center, so you're on your own. And on your own is, I hope that if we got this disaster equipment stuff, maybe we can do some community drills so everybody knows, hey, if you're on your own, come here so we can get this, start collecting stuff. And part of our thing with the windshield survey is that we write down stuff as we go around and find it. So the first night, we had already found trees and wires and stuff down on Coos Bay Wagon, right up towards Weston, Dairy Loop and everything else. So coming by the substation, Don Utley was already there, so we were able to already give him a list of what's missing, what's broken, what's not, where should you guys be going. I don't know what to do with that list, but it's something. And then if we ever see Public Works, we can tell them, hey, this is where you need to clear, all that kind of stuff. I will say Public Works, the ace in the hole we talked about this last night with Don Utley, living out here, and he ended up acting as a pretty regional, major supervisor out here because their general supervisor was isolated, he couldn't get out of his house, so Don Utley took over that role. And then Rich's father-in-law, Harold Simhauser, and the Public Works guys, we have them here in town, and we all know them, and the second day when they started plowing, they came in here and plowed our station. I said, hey, can you plow the Grange? Oh yeah, we got one. So they plowed the Grange out for us, and so it's a really benefit to us to know those people and to have them here in town. So we found some problems we have, we're gonna take care of those, and hopefully we can do some stuff for the community through the grant process. I hope. That's it.
You do?
Oh, wait, no, I'm not.
Yeah.
So Mr. Bennett has a public hearing on March 27th. So he actually, before the budget committee meetings, he would be a part of our district. So that's a long process, about 3 months process. There was a couple other planning sent out, we always get notifications, someone up on Coupe Wagon is trying to split a 200-acre thing into 3 parcels. I don't know if you guys care about that, but that's what they're doing.
As long as they don't build a winery over there.
More wineries?
It's a very,
I think that's all I have. I have a copy of the Spire grant. We put in 4 separate grants for that. And, that's about it.
Steve, there's some developments going on out, I don't know if it's Flournoy Valley or what the area is called. I was just reading about that recently. There are different phases of housing coming in. Do you know, is that an area that's within our district or what happens?
I haven't gotten any stuff in the planning.
The
Do
only,
you know where it is?
no, the only known thing I know they're building is at Melrose and Colonial. They've got 5-acre sections there that they're building. Other than that, coming down from Melrose to my house, there's nothing going on. Nothing's changed. Yeah, so it might be that one, because on Colonial, they're building houses right there. There's a gentleman building a house, oh man. But it's not done yet, so I can't imagine that we can get anything from taxes ways.
On Flournoy before Raven,
Right there,
and he's a paramedic with
Right.
the city, so.
right after Raven, coming this way, the guy up on the hill. Yeah, that's the only house I know building. Other than that, I don't see any equipment ever coming down that way.
Okay.
That area currently isn't in our district, but the county is, anybody that's building now, they're putting it in no district as part of the permit process. So, that area around Raven is pretty interesting. There's little squares around individual houses, but the land is not in our district. So I imagine he will be going.
He's right on Florida. Right.
They have a lot of building going on. The lots is split up by Alan's house. There's somebody building a house already up there.
Larson.
Yeah, there's a
2
couple
houses over
There's a
there.
couple houses in Happy Valley going in and some upgrades over there.
There's one house going in. I forgot his name. He owns a bunch of property and he's already in our district. All right, anything else, Steve? Any questions for Steve? Okay. Old business, we did the update on security cameras. We voted on the security cameras. The donation bank account, Bill was gonna handle that. I don't know if we opened that up yet. If anybody doesn't know, we can wait till Bill comes next time. And I'll talk to him about it. Just to make sure. Additional board members, obviously, we still need someone that's gonna replace Brenda who's retiring. I'll find out from Bill also if he put his name in for the vote. And then new business, Steve pretty much covered update on snowstorms and needs of the department. And I have nothing. Does anybody from the board have anything else? Board member comments, public comments?
I was gonna, if for an interim temporary, that if she needed to, I could fill in
Okay,
temporarily.
I get it.
Yeah, just.
Brenda filled in temporarily for a few years. Okay, thank you, thank you.
Temporary.
All right, so if there's nothing else to do, our next meeting's gonna be April 10th, 2019. And at this time, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn the meeting. If everybody's happy, so.
Second.
All in favor? Thank you. Thank you for coming.
This is at Impossible Lane, actually.